Yes. Did you? Joe would Charlie come to.
Good morning. MRI we didn't have to do.
No, I'm not. You did very much. I'm okay. Fill the one in front of you. Yes, a bit so. And Irene was. Are you blues or not? Fitzgerald. That's how you No. It's out there now. No. Austin, nearly Austin.
Tell us when you want to see cheese. Well, we've got to be working, Terry's doing.
Just we look up when he sees. Well, you might be lucky there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all
Right, thanks very much. Put that on the end.
Yeah, you should.
Enjoy the afternoon. But try, it's just you might see somebody that you've got to see.
If you can just find a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately our chairman was billed for this role, but unfortunately he's not well enough to come, so I've had to phone in. I must say I'm pleased to see so many people here, and I do hope you'll have an enjoyable afternoon. It will be very relaxed, very informal, once we have our officials making their addresses. And I have first to present to you Mr. Joe Walker, who is our County Councillor and Chairman of the Council. He is the County Councillor for this area, and he was formerly the Chairman of the Education Committee, so we felt it most appropriate to have Joe to open.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to always change position because I'm an outsider. I live in Flint Hill. And you know, in those days, going back at the beginning of the century, you lived in isolation as small villages, but they had the competitions. So here, to give former pupils a welcome to this, the first reunion of the former pupils of this particular Leisure School. Whoever had the foresight and the ingenuity to bring the people together, it's a tremendous event for everyone. Can I bring to mind, first of all, the bare statistics? These are school built in 1893-94, closed July 1968. That is the end of the story. For most communities where school closes, the community is destroyed. That did not happen here. Why? Because the people within the community, they decided that the village would not die. It would remain as it was. The good that came from the schools, the community spirit, the welfare of the community at heart, they would continue. So immediately the school closed, they decided we will have that school and turn it into a community centre. And that community centre is flourishing today as I would say, has been a former member of the the county council and its chairman. I visited virtually every community centre in the county, and not because this happens to be Burnfield, but because of the knowledge that I have of other centres. This is the best growing community centre in the county, and that is a fact. The committee then, and as I've already said, having the foresight to realise how important it was to provide a focal point within the community to retain the care of nature. Quite frankly, that in itself, the number of past pupils and locals, I hasten to add, who are here today, is a visual testimony of the affection and the affinity that both the past and the present generations have for this community. I would like to pay tribute to the subcommittee, magnificent band, who at the outset, like myself, had no idea what was entailed when we got involved. We went down to the archives, and I left the team at it, and I thought, well, that's the last I'll ever hear of them, because they'll die in all the old booklets, the pamphlets, etc. But no, they delved into the past, and they came up with a manuscript, a draft manuscript, which, quite frankly, the professionalism leaves nothing to be desired. It is an absolute tribute. And hopefully that manuscript will be translated and transferred into a permanent feature in book form. I was hard hoped. We had invited the director of the Arts and Libraries to come here, and we were going to twist his arm to give us a further help to achieve that particular end. We have, as I mentioned, this exhibition. All I can say to you and the team, well done. You deserve every accolade. I think we should all finally, could I say, I'll end at this particular point, because you haven't came here to listen to me. Have a wonderful day, sharing your memories of days gone by, but also like the imaginative title to the draft manuscript of the history of the school and the buildings, to the local people who remain, contemplate and prepare for the future well-being of this your community, because what the end part of the title to the booklet is, it's the past, the present, then it mentions the future, but it ends up with a question mark. Now the question mark is very imaginative, because it identifies well, as you move into the next millennium, no one knows what's going to happen. It can be exciting, or on the opposite. But having said that, what happens within the community depends upon the locals and their input into it. I know that this community has survived because of the input, and I've got no doubt in years to come, this community will remain as it is today, dependent upon input, but you'll still have a caring atmosphere within the community as it has in the past. Thank you very much for inviting me to this ceremony. Welcome to you.
Thank you, June. Thank you, many thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting us here today. I was raised in Anfield Plain. In actual fact, I have quite a few associations with Burnfield. The thing that just struck me really today was that my grandmother was born and lived in the Linz a long time prior 1900. She often talked about the old colliery rows in the Linz, something that I'm sure I don't think anybody can remember. It was nice to see a photograph of it. That carries me a bit further on last few images. Anyway, it was lovely to see a photograph for me in there of the old colliery rows. It's something that when you see it, it takes you back to your families. What association was that three of us actually laid the bowling green at Burnetfield when we were here. It's still going strong, sort of. I've got a son who's a teacher who now lives in Burnetfield, and two grandsons who are actually in Burnetfield School. So I can't claim infinity with Burnetfield. If, in fact, the people of Burnetfield are anywhere like my grandmother was, she was a queer old stick who called a spade, I'll tell you. So much so that you get an impression from the people that you do know, and you think, they're eccentrics. So, as I say, when I worked down here for 12 years. But from Anfield Plain and living there most of my life, growing up as a young lad, I used to think, Burnetfield, oh, that's the posh village. Really posh. And the definition of posh to us was that where trees were left standing and not cut down for bonfires. I went on and I thought, I'm going to get to know something about Burnetfield. So I went and actually got one of Ralph Poughton's books on Burnetfield District out of the library on Thursday. Unfortunately, the one I wanted is missing, although I got to know that there is one in Burnetfield Library. But the situation is that when I did get into the book, I couldn't put it down, I had to finish it. And some of the things that happened, but mainly it was about the churches. And I find that I got a good laugh in really reading it. The organ was run by water pressure. Now, this is rather strange because I don't think there's anything like that now. But there was a pump actually needed for the water pressure to be maintained for this organ. And one of the things in the parish records, in the records of the church, was that they thought they had better have a pump to keep up this pressure. And it was put to the committee, who actually turned it down because there was plenty of rain that fell off the roof. I would just like to say that I really enjoyed reading about Burnetfield and the residents, and going in there and looking at the photographs, because I worked here for 12 years. I knew a terrible lot of people here, and I could only like to say that I wish you well. I wish we had a place on Anfield Plain that was going like this. We haven't got any sort of communal room at all, and I only wish again that we had something like this. May you do well in the future. Thank you.
Now, before you... Yeah. He's asking if anyone knows them and recognises them, he would like them to come up to him. Obviously he doesn't seem to recognise you, but Bob was passing the centre. I'm sorry this is about Mike, or it's me totally. Bob was passing the centre, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there were some boards outside the flower arrangement with centenary on. Well, Bob thought that there was something going on, you see, and he come in while there was nothing going on. So that was reported to the management committee, and that mooted the idea of what has been brought about today. So we had a small committee, and I can tell you they've worked their socks off. They've done everything to try and bring you together. And I must say that I don't think Kathy came to this school, but I do know that Ada Reedy, that's her name, it's not Mrs. Reedy. Ada Reedy came to this school, and the interest from Ada, having been involved in it, I think has created more than if we had done it, because unfortunately, I just spoken to one young lady and I didn't recognise her name, but I recognised the rest of her family name, and they were great friends of my cousins, Colin and Billy Parkin, who lived at the Linns, Sand School Street, opposite this, the old welfare. That was when all the old houses were there, Frank. But can I give you just a little bit of information? Bob noted it, and I can't thank Ada and her team enough for the work that they've put in. I also have to thank our management team, because they've backed up in a way, and it takes a team to do things. We get somebody who gets the idea, somebody who does the work, and somebody who helps along. And can I thank you all for this particular day. Can I just give you a little bit of information? The photographs that we have are in here. If you want to look through them and reminisce, you're quite happy. You can wander right around the school if you wish. There's no place barred from you at all, and you can carry your memories with you on which class you were in and who it was that taught you and all this. It's wonderful, actually, really wonderful. I wish I'd been one of these.
I used to walk down with Auntie, Miss Ledbetter. She was teaching here at the time. She taught under the first headmaster for a short while, and then Mr. Close, he was my headmaster, and we were all frightened of him. He was lovely, really, but being in the infants, you know what it was like. I remember he used to sometimes cane the boys, and he frightened us once by asking us all to touch our toes, and I thought he was going to come along with it, but he didn't. But he had no children of his own, but he loved the children here. And then I came back to teach later on. That was I was a pupil in the early 30s, and then the 50s and the 60s I came back to teach under Mr. Beckham. But things have changed so much. The sports days here were lovely. It was a real event, you know. We used to walk along carrying all the paraphernalia to the cricket field. And the
was up at the Linns, wasn't it?
Yes. And the Cromarty brothers used to look after the grounds. We thought they owned it, you know. We really looked up to them because we were always warned what Mr. Cromarty wanted. So, but we had lovely sports days. And on trip days, the buses used to be right round the council houses waiting for the children and the parents, because the parents used to go with us too. We used to have marvellous trip days.
And where did you spend the trip days?
Down at the coast.
Oh, yes.
Whitley Bay, usually. Monkshaven, they were the favourite places.
Yes.
And then when I came back to teach, the trips have changed. We used to go up the river on the boat or something like that. And then of course now parents don't go at all. It's supposed to be teaching thing. Yes, yes. But I taught under Mr. Beckham. He was lovely too. It's always been a very friendly school and a nice atmosphere.
Right, on you go then.
What's the story now? Started the school in October 1912 under Mr. Lovett, who's the schoolmaster. And I left, I think I was about 9 months here. Then I went to Bayamore School.
And where did you live before, when you first started?
14 William Street, Lynch.
Oh, aye.
14 William Street, Lynch College.
There, look, laughing with the check coat on. You see, the check coat on. There, she's killed
School in 1913, a year before the First World War started. At the reunion today, I didn't meet any contemporaries at all. But it's been very successful. Now, I'm supposed to give a talk later on about the village itself. The first school in this area was built at Linz, which is about a quarter of a mile from this school. That school was built in 1862, helped on by a man called Gooch, who lived in Lees's Hall. There were 5 headmasters in its lifetime. It closed in 1894, when this school was built. And the last headmaster there, Mr. Dick Abbott, moved into this school with his staff and scholars and opened this school. Now, from 1894 to the present time, there have been 4 headmasters in this school. Mr. Dick Abbott, followed by Mr. Guest Close, followed by Mr. Gladson, and finally Mr. Beckham. That was in 1968, and it closed then because the secondary modern school in the village was closed because all the scholars went to Shield Row, and the modern school being empty, the 2 junior schools in the area, Lees's and Burnerfield, all the scholars from those 2 schools went to the secondary modern school. First came here, it was rather an unorthodox start. I had 4 brothers and sisters coming here then, and I was only about 4 and a half. And I thought it was time I came, so I started on my own. And somehow or other I was kept on. The headmaster then was Mr. Abbott, but the infants' headmistress was Mrs. Hogarth. She was Mr. Abbott's sister, and of course we were all rather scared of her. She was a real tough teacher in her way, but very successful. Her husband, curiously enough, was headmaster at Burnerfield Junior School, then called the National School, and he played cricket for Burnerfield. So she was more or less headmistress of the junior infant department, and he was headmaster of the junior school along the village. I stayed here. I stayed here for 7 years, and then went to Tanfield School. That was the intermediate school for taking examinations. You took the examination at 11 plus, and if you were successful, you went on for further education. About 1965, a group of villagers in Burnerfield began to form a community association. They had nowhere to meet really, but eventually they got a room from Burnerfield Co-op Society and they used that. That went on for 2 or 3 years, and in the meantime we kept looking around for suitable premises. In 1968, when a change in education took place, Burnerfield Modern School was emptied and all the pupils went to Shield Row. At that time too, Leisure School was closed, and the pupils from that school went to the empty Modern School building, and the pupils from Burnerfield Junior School did the same. Thus there were 2 empty buildings in the village. The Community Association Committee applied to Durham for the use of the Leisure School as a community centre, and this was granted. So the Burnerfield Community Association took over the school in 1968.
He's a teacher at Burnerfield Modern School. Look at who?
Well, how good on how we put up to you? I thought you were Christmas man.
Just to get it clean, that's Kennywood. That's Barnsley. That's Tommy Twenty. Oh, yes, it is. To try and trace. What did the call her before she was married?
And I was walking past and saw the centenary sign up, and I asked if it'd be a good idea to have a get together.
Good.
And my brother from Whitley Bay, he came to the same school 62 years ago. 72 years ago for me.
I'd love to have come up.
It's good that you can have such a thing, I think, really. I mean, I have to go back to my old school.
Yes.
Having said that, I've been to about 17 or 18 schools, so it'll be a bit impossible. But,
Yes.
it's good that you can do this, I think.
Yes.
That's it, just go, you know. That'll do.
That was Donald Rispin, the teacher for the top class. One morning he came in and he broke his shoulder playing rugby. But he got the stick in his left hand
He said, don't worry, I can hit it just as good with this. And the first one he hit right across the wrist. There's the pig. So nobody else wanted.
Council chairman now, just another one's making the speeches.
Oh, you just don't worry about it.
You want to meet Joe? I want to meet him. Yes.